Hello, welcome in this walkthrough video. Today we are doing Pearson Edexcel Statistics Paper 1 Data and Probability. In question 1a, we need to give one advantage of the method 1, and that will be that the response rate is likely to be good, or the customers will be able to give feedback as soon as the meal is finished. One disadvantage to this method may be that it's expensive, as one staff is short that is on the floor, or that the people may not like it to be bothered. Also, it only asks customers using the main exit. In question B, one advantage for the method 2, that may be that it's easy to use the data, that it targets everyone, and that is relatively cheap. One disadvantage to this method may be that the low response rate is likely. People may not take the receipts, or they may not notice the survey. Also, only the person who pays will have the receipt. In question C, one advantage to the third method may be that it's easy to set up, or that the cost is low. A disadvantage to this method may be that the customers may not want to share the email address. There is a potential data protection issues, and it also may increase waiting time in the restaurant. In question D, the best method to select is method 2, as it's cheap and it's not inconvenient to customers, as they are not asked for the email address. In question E, 2 suggestions for you to improve the response rate may be to offer some free food for survey completion, or make the survey short and tell the customers about the time it needs to be completed. For this 9 marks question, you will have a mark for each advantage and disadvantage. Also for the method with the reasoning, and for 2 suggestions. Question 2a, we need to estimate the highest proportion of medal won by a single nation. So we need to find out what's behind that bar. And it looks like it's approximately 32%. In question B, we need to state how many Summer Olympic Games saw the host nations score more medals than any of the other team. So we are looking into these 3 bars that are at the bottom of the graph. So we have 3. In question C, we need to explain how color could be used to make the graph clearer. Well, each country to be marked as an individual color. In question D, we need to state 4 criticisms other than lack of color of the graph. Well, we have plenty of those. First of all, there is no source showing underneath. Also, we have no axis labels. We have no y-axis on the left. We have inconsistent years labeling. We have quite a complex key in the bottom. It's very hard to read the percentage on the right. And also it's very difficult to distinguish the nations. In this 7 marks question, you will have a mark for the percentage on the number of hosts, for the color and for the form criticisms. In question 3, to help us fill in the Venn diagram, we can read this table as the circles. So the first line will be like the whole circle for the 8K resolution. The second row is also about the whole circle of the screen size. The third row is also about the whole circle, about the voice control. Next row is about the common part of the resolution and the screen size. Next row is also about the common part of the resolution and voice control. The next line is also about the common part of the screen size and the voice control. And the very last row is about the common of the all three. Starting from the center, we have 9 models. Next, let's see the common part of the 8K resolution and the 75 inches. Total must be 16. So the remaining part will be 7. Similar to the common part of the screen and the voice control, the total should be 69, so the remaining part will be 60. Whole circle for the voice control should be 304, so the remaining part is 228. Let's move to the common part of the 8K and 75 inches. The total should be 9, so this part here will be 0. The whole circle of the screen size should be 74, so that remaining part to be 5. And the 8K resolution, the whole circle should be 16, so the remaining part will be 0. Also, we are reminded that there are 400 models in total, so outside of the diagram we should state other models, which is 91. In question B, we need to find the probability that the television has 8K resolution, so that's 16 models out of 400. We can leave it like that, or we can state in decimals. In next question, we are looking for the model that has a screen size smaller than 75 inches and has a voice control. So we don't want to include the inches, but we want the voice control. So that will be 7 plus 228. Out of 400. In decimals, that will be not 0.588 to 3 significant figures. The next question, we will be looking for the probability that the television will not be displayed if any of the filters are applied. So this is the question about the remaining models, 91 out of 400. In decimals, that will be not 0.228 to 3 significant figures. In next question, we have the conditional probability. Probability of R given S is the probability of them both divided by the probability of S. In decimals, that's not 0.122 to 3 significant figures. To check independency in question C, we can find the probability of R, not 0.04, and also the probability of R given S, which is not 0.122. And these two are not equal. In question D, we need to suggest a reason why R and S are not likely to be independent. That's because larger screens have more space for pixels. In this 15 marks question, you will have 6 for Venn diagram, 1 for question B, 1 point for the method in that second question in B, and another one for the answer, 1 for the part 3, 1 point for the conditional probability method and the answer, 1 point to show the numbers and the implication that they are not independent, and 1 for the reason. Question 4, we need to find the probability density, and we know that the area under the graph should be 1. We have 15 on one axis, so the other one must be 1 over 15. In question B, we need to find the probability that no zombies will spawn in the next 10 seconds. So that's the probability that they will spawn after the 10 seconds. And that's 5 out of 15. Next question, we need to use the probability we just found for the next 3 zombies. So that's basically power 3, which is 1 over 27. In question C, we need to use the Poisson distribution. Let's call our variable x the number of zombies spawning in the next 5 seconds. Also has Poisson distribution, and our lambda will be now 12. And the probability will be 0.347 to 3 significant figures. In question D, our lambda will be 6. So in question E, the new mean will be 1/6. For this 15 marks question, you will have a mark for the value of x, also for the probability in B. One point for the method and 1 for the final answer. One point for the distribution, 1 for the lambda, and 1 for the result. one for the distribution and one for the result. One for the distribution, one for the new lambda, one for the probability, and one for the result. One for lambda 6, and one for the new mean. In question 5a, we need to complete the table. Even though this scatter diagram is not entirely clear, as you can see, some of them dots are between the lines, some of them are exactly on the line, so as close as possible, please try to estimate the value. In question B, we shall put all of them values in our calculators to find the Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. And that value is not 0.606268. In question C, we should state one reason why it may be inappropriate to calculate the Pearsons. And that's because the graph suggests the correlation may not be linear. In question D, we need to explain why the statistics may be unexpected to see the negative value of R. Well, the correlation B is positive, suggesting that regions with more foreign-born residents have higher English literacy rates. The individual level is weak and negative. In question E, we should explain how the unexpected situation may have occurred. And this is something called Simpson's paradox, where we have one result on the global level or regional level and another one for individual level. So we can say that at regional level, the data reflects regional characteristics that use literacy for everyone, masking the individual disadvantage of being foreign-born. The regional correlation can therefore be positive, while the individual correlation is negative, because the groups differ systematically. What else we could say is that foreign-born individuals may have lower English literacy on average than native-born individuals, especially in 1930, when many immigrants came from non-English speaking countries and may not be fully literate in English initially. Regions with better schools, libraries, would bring more literate people in general. In this 10 marks question, you will have 2 marks for completing the table. However, you can get 1 mark if just one value is correct. 1 point for Pearson, 1 for the reason, 1 for the reason here, and 1 for stating that this one is negative, and 4 for Simpsons. In question 6, we should complete the probability tree. In question B, we should calculate the probability that the instance was removed. So we are looking for all branches that end with removal. This one, that one, and this one. And the result is 0.0336 to 3 significant figures. In question C, we have conditional probability given This is the formula. So first we should go with the branch of the blue asbestos, and that it's removed. So this way. And the denominator is the value from question B we need to use. And the answer is not 0.52. In question D, we need to explain why the probability of the blue one, given it's removed, is more than probability of just the blue. That is because overall, blue appears in 1.8% instances, but among removed instances, blue asbestos make up approximately 52%. Hence the removal rate is 97.1%, where the white removal rate is only 1.5%. That is because this type is more dangerous. So even though blue type is rare overall, when removal happens, it's mostly blue being removed due to higher risk. In question E, we can first find the probability of white given that it's removed. Not 0.434, and we had that blue, given that it is removed, the probability was 52%. And to compare with blue, given that it's removed, that was not 0.52, so 52%. I therefore disagree with these statements. And that's because even though white is most common overall among actual removals, blue is more frequent. Thus, the equipment for blue asbestos removal will be needed more often per removal job than for white. Also, blue is more hazardous and requires specialized safety protocols. The conclusion: investment should prioritize safety equipment for blue asbestos despite its lower frequency in finds, because it's removed almost always when found. In question 7a, for normally distributed data, the mean will be equal to the median, so that's 0.971. In question B, the 17th and the 83rd sextile is roughly one standard deviation below and above the mean, in normal distribution, so that's just the average of them difference. In question C, the probability of x being more than 1 with those parameters is 0.079 to two significant figures. In the next part, probability of x being between 0.9 and 1 is 0.858 to three significant figures. In question D, we need two distributions for male and female, and we are looking for the probability that male is lower than female. Let's introduce the new variable D. The mean for this variable will be the difference between the mean for female and the mean for male. Which is 0.019. Variance for our new variable will be also the difference of the variances. Which is not 0.001997. So the standard deviation is 0.0447. And our new variable will have also the normal distribution. And the probability of our D being more than 0 is 0.665 to three significant figures. In this 12 marks question, you will get a mark in question A for normal distribution and the median stated. In question B, for showing how to get to the value for the percentile comment and the distribution. In question C, for each of the probabilities. In question D, for male and female distribution. For new variable, the distribution of the new variable, and the final answer. Also for the variance.